Magazine with co-hosts Fred Staub and Les Jackson.
Control.
Everything you need to know about new and used cars.
Control.
Industry news. We'll fix or repair your car on the air.
Control.
Fasten your seatbelts and let us take the wheel. Now, your ride is about to begin.
Lose control.
Because you're on cruise control. Cruise control. Cruise control.
And welcome to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Hello, everyone. It's Fred Staub, and Les Jackson will be by in just a little bit. But we're going to start this hour with Ford's CEO, Jim Farley, saying their EV strategy needs a complete rethink, and there will be no Gen 2 EVs until they can make a profit. And they're also talking about a kind of a new platform. So we'll look into that. And then over at Mini has gone back to basics when it comes to the brand new Mini Cooper. And they're coming out with a couple of new gasoline-powered engines. I like the fact that they've gone back to basics with this, getting back to where it all began. But they are saying goodbye to one favorite model, and that is the Mini Clubman. Last one came off the line in Oxford, England, and we'll talk a little bit about that and the history of the Clubman, and we'll kick that around. I guess small wagons are just not the way to go anymore, even at Mini. And then what is the most beloved brand when it comes to vehicles in the U.S.? The answer might surprise you. I don't think you'll be able to guess it because I know I wouldn't be able to guess it, but we will talk about that. Maybe it is your favorite brand. I don't know. We'll hear from you. And why is Volvo in no rush to eliminate internal combustion engines? Remember, a week or so ago, they said they weren't going to continue funding Polestar, which is their all-electric brand, performance brand. Now they're saying, hey, you know, we'll keep around our hybrids for a while longer. It's all part of the big change-up with car companies reconsidering EVs. We're seeing the same thing over at Ford, and we'll discuss that. And is Tesla steering into a major recall? Well, we'll talk about that. It is could be major. If you own a Tesla, you certainly want to stay tuned. Also, we're going to have a recall for tailgates that pop open for no reason whatsoever. We'll tell you what brands that is affecting. All that and more on Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. We'll also look at some of the new vehicles that were released at the Chicago Auto Show, including the Lincoln Aviator, which is a luxurious vehicle. Has a lot of new features, a lot of new technology, and we'll talk about that. We'll also talk about now you might be able to get Ford's very popular Maverick small pickup and a lot easier than you have in the past. In the past, these things have been marked up tremendously, and they are designed to be an inexpensive vehicle, but it seems like you're going to be able to get one at your dealer a lot easier in the future. We'll have that and more on Cruise Control.
Cruise Control.
And welcome back to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Fred Staub and Les Jackson here. Les will be joining us in a little bit. Let's talk about, once again, a topic that Les and I have been talking about now for the last couple of weeks. There seems to be a very noticeable change in automakers' perceptions of EVs. And there's a lot of rethink going on, a lot of delay and thinking, okay, we're going to go all electric. And it's kind of interesting because people are still bringing out all electric vehicles that are in the pipeline. One that comes to mind is the Dodge Charger that will be coming out, I believe, in March. But kind of some of the shine on electric vehicles has dulled up a bit. We talked about Toyota doing so well and saying hybrids and plug-in hybrids were the way to go, and their sales numbers bearing that out. A massive number of electric vehicles like the Silverado EV have been delayed. And now Ford's Jim Farley says no new Generation 2 EVs will be sold until a new platform, a new electric vehicle platform at Ford, is developed or released that will allow them to make money. So that means the only Gen 1 electric vehicles they have are the Mustang Mach-E and the F-150 Lightning. So that means there will be no new electric vehicles from Ford until this new platform is developed, because basically they're not making money. They admitted to losing $36,000 on every electric vehicle sold. And it makes me think, like, you're not going to hit these targets of 2030 and 2035 if you're still developing the platform on this. The Mustang Mach-E Select is the most affordable model right now. That's at $42,995, and it is still, you can still get the discount on it, the $7,500 discount on it. But you know what's happening is, let's face it, the technology is still first gen. You're getting 200 and change mile range, very expensive when you start to add in, go into some of the upper ranges, like if you went to the Mach-E GT and all that, getting up into $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 range on certain vehicles. They're heavy, and I think a lot of people are saying, you know, hey, maybe a hybrid or a plug-in hybrid might be a good transition car for me as opposed to an electric vehicle. And this is frankly big news. I mean, this is news. Ford saying, hey, let's face it, we're building electric vehicles. The demand is not there. The infrastructure is still not there, but getting better. But you know what? We have to make money. And losing $36,000 on every vehicle you sell is not a sustainable way of doing it. I had some thoughts on this. How could you get people interested in electric cars, not ask them to invest $80,000 in a car that gets low range and frankly won't be worth that much in 5 years because solid-state battery vehicles will be out, faster charging, all these developments. It's going to definitely develop. So I thought about what Harley-Davidson used to do. They wanted to get people into motorcycles. And they said, we have this thing called the Sportster. I believe it was $6,000. Maybe it was less. I forget exactly. But the idea was you can drive that bike for 3 years. You own it. You're not leasing it or anything. When you bring it back to the dealer and you say, you know what, I want to step up to a more expensive bike, one with more power, they will basically refund your purchase price of that Sportster, whether it was $3,000 or $6,000, and apply it towards a new, bigger bike. I thought that was smart. I mean, you can't lose. If you like that bike, you just keep it. Fine. Um, but maybe that is one way to take away some of the fear, because the current electric vehicles, the Gen 1 electric vehicles, are just not going to be, as far as resale goes, they're not going to be worth a lot when you'll be able to buy less expensive vehicles with better range and faster charging that will be light years ahead of what is available now. So maybe that's one way to look at it. But in any event, there's going to be a slight pause in electric vehicles from Ford. Probably going to see a lot more hybrids and plug-in hybrids, I believe, from everyone. Stay tuned to Cruise Control. Plenty more coming up. We're going to talk about what's new over at Mini. We'll be right back.
Control.
And welcome back to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Chicago Auto Show, a lot going on there. And Mini made some announcements. They're kind of going back to basics, which is a good thing. Because, I think the basic, the way the Mini was a basic car, and that is sometimes, cars kind of grow and they get a little bit, not like they used to be, let's just say. And it was a simplistic car, and they've tried to gone back to that. They have 2 new gasoline-powered engines that will be offered. The first is a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine, 201 horsepower, 221 pound-feet of torque, 0 to 60 in 6.3 seconds, which is not bad at all. Of course, go-kart-like handling from these vehicles. And for U.S. customers, there's going to be a performance version of this, but we don't know what that is. So there's going to be a performance version of this engine, but we really don't know what kind of performance it will have. It looks like teal is making a big comeback here. It is getting back to its roots. I think is important for Mini, and I think they've kind of gone away from that in past generations. It's gotten bigger and now they're getting back to what they were. One thing that's interesting on the inside, of course, the large circular instrumentation, it's inspired, of course, by the original Mini's big gauge in the center, is now an infotainment system. And that is a little bit, over the top, I think. I'm really enjoying the exterior styling of the new Mini. But if you look at the inside of the vehicle, it is dominated by this giant round infotainment screen that's almost the size of the steering wheel. And I don't know, it looks like you have a pizza mounted to your dash. And I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure it works. The interior, to me, looks a little bit simpler. There's some lighting on the interior over on the dashboard. But I do miss the toggle switches and some of the other things. It looks a little bit plain to me, and maybe not as high end as previous interiors. There is some, as is the trend, some fabric on the dashboard. That seems to be a trend everywhere. You get a great Harman Kardon optional stereo. But I will say this. I like the exterior updates and style more than anything else on this Mini. I look forward to driving it. I love the two-tone, what they've done with the seats. They've done like a little bit of cloth in the head restraint and sort of like a piping around the seats. And then the Mini logo on the seats. I think the seats look great. I'm just a little concerned about the dashboard. It looks a little, I don't know. It's just the size of the round monitor is a little bit off-putting. But we will have to see. I'm not sure if there are any bets on how much performance the performance variant would have, but obviously we don't have any information on that. They call that giant screen, they call it Digital Innovations for Immersive User Experience. It has an interplay of visual design, ambient lighting, and sound design changes in the appearance of the cockpit and opens up new possibilities for personalizing your Mini Cooper. So there you have it. It's something we'll have to try. But it is the classic Mini Cooper, two-door Mini Cooper S. So clean-looking update to the vehicle. A little bit smaller on the outside. Smaller taillights. Still have a bit of the British Union Jack in there. Meanwhile, more news from Mini. And it involves saying goodbye to another model, and that is the Clubman. Now, the Clubman goes way back in Mini history. It goes back to, the days when there was a small wagon available. And the Clubman goes back to the 60s when BMC, Mini's owner at that time, produced the Traveler and the Countryman station wagons. The Clubman was a trim name that was used to distinguish the facelifted Mini from the old model, but BMW adopted this. And one of the key features of the Clubman has been those kind of barn doors in the back, which I thought were kind of neat. But that basically small wagons have been trumped everywhere, including Mini, by SUVs. And yeah, I guess that even holds out for Mini. So the last one came off the line at the Oxford plant, and that will be retired at least for the near future, which is sad to see it go. Sad to see it go, but I do like the updates to the Mini Cooper S, and we'll look forward to driving that and see what is going on with the performance variant when it comes out. Um, let's talk a little bit, and this might be surprising, Les. To me, it was surprising, and it is the most popular brand that the brand that people most love brand, the brand that people would buy again if they had to buy it. Now, you would say, oh, well, it's got to be, BMW, it's got to be, who knows, maybe Chevrolet, something like that, Ford. Nope, it is Rivian. This is from a recent study where they said Rivian, and this is from Consumer Reports, believe it or not, said that Rivian is the most loved brand in the U.S., and it is the brand that people get their new vehicle and they would certainly buy another one, no doubt about it, after, and not a long period of time because these are relatively new. But this is, I think, surprising, and it's great news for the brand for sure because it comes from Consumer Reports. I do see a fair amount of these around. You can distinctively tell them with the front lights and the front design. Of course, they have an SUV. They have a pickup truck. But certainly this will be interesting to see how the brand does in the future. As certainly it's beloved, so they're off to a good start. It's certainly a surprise, though. I would have said something more established, but good news for Rivian, and they must be doing something right. Of course, they have a lot of innovations. They came out with their pickup truck where they have they're the first, I believe, to have a frunk. They had storage in the side bed. They have through storage in the bed. So a lot of interesting features. And hey, they started off with the vehicles people want, a trunk in the back to hide the spare tire. They started off with the vehicles people want. They want pickup trucks. They want large SUVs. And you know what? It can't be wrong to build something that people really want. And it's a great way to sell vehicles when you sell something people want. So there you have it. The most popular brand out there in the U.S. right now, according to Consumer Reports, and it is Rivian. When we come back, we're going to have some more reveals from the Chicago Auto Show from Lincoln and others. So stay tuned to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. We'll be right back.
Cruise Control.
And welcome back to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Big week at the Chicago Auto Show. And Lincoln had their brand new Aviator, which is a very high-end SUV. Of course, they have a lot of new technology in there, and they have always been known as quiet luxury, which is their brand, what they are famous for. And they say elegance meets tech in the new Aviator. Connected sanctuary. So high-end interiors as well on the Aviator. Lincoln's known for that push-button gear selector in the center console. And they just have an incredible experience. You look at their seats, the bolstering on them, the materials used. It is really, really high end. They call it effortless experiences. So there's a lot of new discussion on that. 5G wireless technology, which is interesting because most vehicles that I have encountered have 4G. So this is one of the first ones to have 5G with Lincoln Premium connectivity. They have other features, include a charging pad for compatible mobile phones located in the front center row, multiple power outlets and USB capability. Of course, that is the new the new cup holder. And of course, Aviator's based on the Explorer. We talked about the Explorer last week, so it makes sense that they would release the Lincoln that is based on the Explorer. This one gets a new, for 2025, a new option for the Lincoln Black Invitation theme, which includes black onyx leather seating. I have to read this because it's right from the press release. A sense of intrigue with the quality of a crafted black paper invitation, handwritten calligraphy that welcomes you to an exquisite home for an intimate evening. Okay, so simply put, it has a nice interior. And the power, by the way, let's talk about some of the features. Blue Cruise, we know this is going to be available on Explorer, so Blue Cruise will be coming in here as well. The all-new digital experience, which is their new infotainment system, Lincoln Copilot 360, auto air refresh, panoramic vista roof, power heated steering wheel, heated ventilated front row seats, wireless phone charging, phone as a key, 20-inch wheels, adaptive suspension, class 3 towing hitch. Standard engine on this is the twin turbocharged 3-liter V6 with a 10-speed select shift transmission, automatic transmission, delivers 400 horsepower, 415 pound-feet of torque. Just a beautiful vehicle with all the new display, which we saw last week on the Ford Explorer, and some interesting graphics on the console. Should be a hit for Lincoln. These vehicles are noticeably quieter than their Ford counterparts, so that sound insulation makes a big difference. And these are noticeably quiet, the Lincolns for sure. So exciting stuff. And certainly it's going to be a good deal for this brand. And they do need new product for sure. Let's talk about the Ford Maverick. And once again, we said earlier about Jim Farley, the CEO of Ford, saying, we're not going to build any more Gen 1 electric vehicles until we have this new platform. So that means they're going to have to have hybrids and plug-in hybrids to keep people interested. Well, one of the hybrids they're interested in is the Ford Maverick hybrid. You can get that in two-wheel drive. A big question in the automotive industry is when will that be available with four-wheel drive, all-wheel drive. You can get all-wheel drive, but it's the non-hybrid model. But anyway, these have been somewhat of unobtainium because the plant in Mexico could just not crank them out fast enough. But good news, in January, Ford sold 12,443 Ford Mavericks. It outsold the Toyota Tacoma in January. And they have announced that they are turning up the wick on that plant to start cranking them out and making them a lot more obtainable. Remember, this is offered a starting price in XL trim at $23,815, and in hybrid, the hybrid version comes in at $25,315. You can't buy a pickup truck for that price in too many places in this world. You can't buy many vehicles for $25,000, much less a hybrid vehicle. That may be, I'd have to check this, but it may be the least expensive hybrid out there. I think even the Toyota Corolla hybrid is more than that, but I'd have to check that. But and the Toyota Corolla does not have a bed that you can put stuff in. So certainly a popular model, makes sense. They want to sell it. They are making money on these for sure. And I think this is the way Ford's going to go to profitability. Ford did make profit, by the way, on all their other vehicles, like the Maverick and, of course, their F-150 and some of their other large SUVs. But, as I mentioned earlier, they lost $36,000 per vehicle on electric vehicles. So you and I, Les, have talked about affordable electric vehicles. And what's happening now in Europe, they're being flooded by Chinese-built affordable electric vehicles. And some of the more established automakers just can't make an affordable electric vehicle. So Hyundai is proposing a very affordable electric vehicle, talking around $20,000, the Casper, which is a small SUV crossover that had been available with a gas engine or is available with a gas engine in other markets in South Korea. But they're going to make it into an electric vehicle and make it somewhere around $20,000, $21,000. I think this is a great way to get people into electric vehicles, and certainly someone would buy that as a commuter car or as a second vehicle. And they're hoping to kind of stem the tide of inexpensive Chinese-built electric vehicles that will could potentially knock more established manufacturers like Hyundai and others out of the market. Some people have said that this may be even too small for Europe, although it does look to be a cool little electric vehicle. I would love one for commuting around in it. I would think it would be a fun vehicle to drive around in, and certainly great around town and easy to park. And for a $21,000 price, it could be a good one. I don't think we have any information on range or anything like that. They're also talking about a battery-powered commercial version of that, and that makes sense for people that ride around and inspect streets and street lights and, I don't know, the gas company or the electric company. It would make great sense for something like that to drive that around and not cost a lot of money. So to me, I would say it makes sense. Build it, bring it over, electrify it, and because if they lose this small, affordable electric vehicle market, where most people are going to come into this market, they're not going to buy an $80,000 car. I think they could just build on that, and some of the established players will never get it back. And they might not want to get it back because they might say, well, we can never make money on these things. But let's face it, people do start out with an inexpensive car in many ways, and then they go back to that brand and say, well, hey, now I need a three-row SUV. Case in point, Subaru. Subaru never had a three-row SUV. They made the Ascent, so it wasn't like, well, I'm trading in my Forester. I need something bigger. What do you got? And they're like, don't have anything. Buy another Forester. So they didn't want people to leave, so they came out with the Ascent. So once again, I think something like this little Casper from Hyundai might be a great way to get people's interest in electric vehicles. Maybe once again, let them trade it in 3 years and get all their money back. Now, who knows? We'll see. More Cruise Control coming up. Stay tuned.
Control.
And welcome back to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Fred Staub here. And Les is fine. He's just having a little technical trouble this morning, but that's okay. He's all is well. Who else is having technical problems? Well, Tesla. This is according to I believe a Reuters article. The U.S. government investigation into steering problems with more than 334,000 Tesla electric vehicles is a step closer to a recall. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration says documents posted Friday that it upgraded a 2023 investigation to an engineering analysis. The agency received dozens of complaints about loss of steering control in 2023, and this affects Model Y and 3 vehicles. Now the agency says it has 115 complaints, and it received another 2,176 after requesting information from the company. Drivers are reporting a loss of steering control, often accompanied by messages showing that power assisted steering has been reduced or disabled. Some complained of an inability to turn the steering wheel, while others said it required more effort. Sounds like a power steering failure. In one case, a driver told NHTSA that they couldn't complete a right turn and ran into another vehicle. The agency said there have been multiple allegations of Teslas blocking intersections on roadways, and over 50 vehicles had to be towed, according to consumer complaints. The agency said it's also looking to possible steering rack failures. Also, coming out on Friday, is Tesla is recalling nearly all of the vehicles it has sold in the U.S. because of some warning lights in the instrument panel are too small. I'm not sure if that is something they can change electronically, or is they actually have to put in a larger light. So, safety regulators say the recall can be done with a software update for those warning lights. So those recalled are the Model S, the Model X, and the Model 3 from 2019 through 2024. So more bad news for Tesla. That is certainly a difficult time for Tesla. And we'll have to see what happens with that for sure. Let's talk about the N model, Elantra, which is a high-performance model. We got some additional pricing information on it this week, the Hyundai Model N, and this is one of their very high-end vehicles that I think it's a great bang for your buck. You know, it is a lot of high-end details in this vehicle where they go in, they weld up like certain brackets and that to make it steer more directly. This thing is quite a value for the money, and they really, you know, it's one of those. It's kind of like a sleeper, the Elantra N. It really is, because you would think that it would be worth a lot more money, and others would be selling it for $40,000 and that. But this is more of a $30,000 car, and it's a bit of a sleeper. You know, it's you can get it in white and get it where it doesn't really stand out, but it is certainly a value, and I think it's great that Kia has it in their lineup. And, you know, it's great that we can still see vehicles like this being produced, performance vehicles, and it is certainly one to take a look at, and we look forward to having more information on it in the future for sure. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on at Volvo. And, you know, Volvo has been a proponent of electric vehicles for sure. And they've, you know, one of the vehicle manufacturers that you would think would be looking to phase out electric vehicles in their lineup a lot earlier. than let's say 2030 or 2035 when the European Union is currently requiring it 2035. They got moved up. But Volvo has announced that it's in no rush to phase out its XC90, its XC60, and its S90, some of their very, very popular models, beautiful models. In America, Volvo's chief operating officer said the company plans to sell more XC90 models in the central region and more EX90 on the West Coast. And California, of course, is regarded as a leader in EV adoption, so that's why the EX90 would be selling there. But they feel that their whole lineup will be electrified, plug-in hybrids or hybrids, and then they will also have electric models as well. And they're just, there are no big push to get rid of the plug-in hybrids or hybrid models anytime soon. Sort of, once again, kind of the sea change that we've been seeing in the auto industry, where it's not going to be like, hey, in 3 years, we're not going to build an internal combustion engine and you won't be able to buy a new one in, let's say, 5 or 10 years. It's certainly changing. We'll keep you up to date on this on Cruise Control. And, it's certainly, I've never seen anything change so quickly. But it has to do with, A, people not buying them, and B, them not making money. I mean, once again, back to what Ford CEO said, Jim Farley. He said, we're losing $36,000 on every electric vehicle we build. And you just can't do that. You just can't do that. So it has to be more carrot than stick, I believe, to get people to adopt them. I certainly believe the future in the near term, whatever the near term may be, is plug-in hybrids or just regular hybrids. Make everything a hybrid. That's what Toyota's doing. Offer a hybrid. Like, for example, their Camry. They're making them all hybrids. You won't be able to buy a Camry that's not a hybrid. And that's going to save like 43 million gallons of fuel, gasoline in a year. That's great. That's great progress. Incremental. You can't just stop it all at once and then change over. Incremental. Make it more carrot than stick. And if you could turn the fleet into 90% hybrid, which might be even overly aggressive, you would be saving a tremendous amount of fuel and cleaning up the environment as well. So, and you got to make people really want the electric vehicles. You got to make them be better than gas vehicles that they'll say, oh, wow, why wouldn't I get this? Free electricity. Maybe that idea that I mentioned earlier where you buy one of the early models, you can trade it in for a more expensive model with better features, and will give you 100% rebate on your money put towards the new vehicle. Maybe that's one way to do it. I don't know. Definitely, it's got to be more carrot than stick, though. You can't be yelling at Mr. Bean for not liking his electric vehicle, because we want electric vehicles to be popular and to be sold and people to like them. If they don't like them the way they are, then they have to be changed. So that's just the way it is. It's a big world. It's going to be a lot of different things, a lot of different developments. Hydrogen power, one size doesn't fit all. Electric vehicles are great for delivering mail right now, and as I said, like that little Casper, they're great for you being a light delivery vehicle or the person that goes around checks street lights. I mean, that's great ways to integrate them in. So you can't think like, okay, next week we're going to just turn off gas and turn on electric. It's not designed that way. The infrastructure is not there yet, but it will get there. It will certainly get there. So I hope you've enjoyed this edition of Cruise Control. Don't forget to check out our YouTube page and our Facebook page, all our social media outlets. Time for me to say I'm Fred Staub. He's Les Jackson. We are going to see you down the road. Take care.